Today we have a story that I really love. People who disappear under mysterious circumstances. Amazing. You find someone has vanished and you don't know where they went. Then, after a while, a corpse appears. The police come to analyze that corpse, but find it's someone else's body, not the missing person's. So, where did the missing person go? And whose body is this? I really enjoy stories like this. I love to sit down and analyze them. How did this person disappear? What were the circumstances of their disappearance? What strange things appeared in this case? And what evidence did the police find? That's my pleasure. Mysterious stories. Anyway, so I don't keep you long in the introduction, let's start our story. Japan consists of 4 main islands, one of which lies at the far north and is called Hokkaido Island. On Hokkaido Island, there is a beautiful national park called Daisetsuzan National Park. This park is famously known as the playground of the gods. It is a huge mountain range that stretches up to the clouds. The highest peak in this park is Mount Asahidaki, which is 7,500 feet, 2,286 meters high. This place is one of Japan's most famous hiking spots. The trail leading to the summit of Mount Asahidake is relatively simple. It is a narrow path through the trees, but at a certain point, the path becomes very difficult. As you get closer and closer to the summit, you find the surrounding trees gradually disappear, and then you find yourself in an open area with no landmarks, making it hard to know exactly where you are headed. That's why the park guides ask hikers to pay attention to a specific sign so they don't get lost. This sign is a large square rock called the Safe Rock. Once you reach the Safe Rock, the rest of the path to the summit is very easy. However, there is a serious problem that most people fall into. There are other square rocks called the false safe rocks. Those hiking the mountain for the first time or lacking experience confuse the real safe rock with the false ones. Because of this problem, many people have gotten lost in this area, and no trace of them was ever found. If you take the false rocks as your guide, what will happen? At first, you won't feel lost, and you'll think you're getting closer to the summit with no problem. But then, instead of the path rising to the summit, it will gradually lead you downward. If you keep walking thinking you're on the right track, after about 1.5 kilometers, you will enter a valley full of dangerous swamps, surrounded by bamboo trees. This whole place has extremely dangerous slopes. Once you enter it, you won't see anything around you because the bamboo trees are very tall and thick. So you won't know where the mountain summit is, nor will you know where you came from or where you are going. At any moment, you could stand on one of these dangerous slopes and get injured, and no one will be able to rescue you until you die of pain or hunger. Over the years, many people have been lost in this area and never returned, with no trace found, all because they followed the false safe rocks as their guide. In July 1989, 2 young men from Tokyo were climbing the path of Mount Asahi. When they reached a square rock, they thought it was the safe rock, but it was actually a false and unsafe rock. Because of this, they entered the wrong path and got lost in the valley filled with bamboo trees. When their friends and families became worried, they contacted the police, who began searching for them. The search continued for 2 days, using helicopters flying over the swampy area until they found the 2 young men, but they could find no trace of them at first. On July 24th, a helicopter was flying over an area no one had searched before, located east of the valley. There, the searchers discovered something strange in the middle of the trees, a clearing without any bamboo trees. In the center of this clearing were 3 large letters written on birch tree trunks. These 3 letters were SOS. This is an international distress signal used when someone faces a problem or gets lost. They write this sign on the ground and camp nearby, hoping a passing aircraft will see the sign and rescue them. The search team that saw this signal on the ground informed the other search teams, sending more helicopters and search parties to the area. They searched around the SOS sign in a circle with a diameter of 2 miles until they found the 2 missing young men from Tokyo. They were starving and close to death, in critical condition, but still alive, and very happy that the police had rescued them at the last moment. After that, a helicopter took them to the nearest hospital, where they received complete medical care and recovered within 2 days. The pilot and his assistant, who saw the SOS signal and saved the young men, visited them in the hospital to check on them. The pilot said, "I am very happy with you because you were smart and acted wisely. You brought tree trunks and wrote the SOS sign on the ground. This action is what allowed us to find and save you. Without it, we would not have been able to reach you." When the 2 young men heard this, they looked at each other with surprise, then said to the pilot, "SOS sign? We didn't write any signs on the ground." After some questioning, the pilot and his assistant confirmed that they were not the ones who wrote the sign on the ground. So, if it wasn't them, then who wrote it? That means there was someone else or others asking for help. Because of this, the next day the rescue teams returned to the SOS sign site and combed the entire area until they found a hole near a tree trunk. In that hole was a backpack. When they searched inside, they found a driver's license, 3 cassette tapes, and an old recording device, a Walkman. The license belonged to a 25-year-old Japanese man named Kenji Iwara. 5 years earlier, this young man was sitting in the shade near the mountain. This lodge was like a small hotel. One day, Kenji was heading to hike to the mountain summit, and before leaving, he informed the lodge owner he was going to climb the mountain. After 2 days of his disappearance, the lodge owner got worried and knocked on his room door, but received no answer. He then used the master key to open the door, but found Kenji was not inside, and all his belongings were untouched. The lodge owner reported his disappearance to the police, who searched for him for many days on the mountain. Back to 1989, the police were examining the backpack's contents and found a cassette tape inside the recorder. When they played the tape, what they heard was disturbing. A very sad young man's voice crying out loudly and asking for help. It is supposed that the voice on the recording was Kenji's. He shouted, "I am now trapped on the edge of a cliff. SOS, please help me. I hear a helicopter, but I can't signal it because the bamboo trees are tall and thick and I can't move from my place. Please get me out of here. SOS, get me out of here." The original video on YouTube containing this recording, I will leave its name or link in the comments because I'm afraid it might be considered frightening content or that the voice might be copyrighted. This is the video name and the channel name on YouTube, and you will find a link in the comments. Anyway, regarding our topic, in this recording, Kenji was calling for help and saying SOS, which means he was the one who wrote the SOS sign on the ground with the tree trunks. The year 1984, the year Kenji disappeared, is when he made the distress signal with the trees and recorded his voice on the cassette tape found in his bag. But where was Kenji? He vanished. The helicopters returned to circle the area where Kenji's bag was found, and the police discovered human bone fragments in that search area. They said this might be Kenji's body and took it to the lab for examination. The lab results were a surprise that no one expected in the case. Before the analysis, the police scenario was that Kenji left his hotel to hike to the mountain summit, but unfortunately, he took a false safe rock as a guide. Instead of climbing the summit, he descended into the valley containing swamps and bamboo trees until he found himself trapped on the edge of a cliff. He couldn't go down any further without risking a fall or injury, and he didn't know how to return the way he came because that path was also a steep slope, making it difficult to climb back. He remained trapped there for 2 days until the lodge owner noticed his disappearance and reported it to the police. The police sent helicopters to search for him. He heard the helicopters but couldn't signal them because the bamboo trees were tall and dense. So he had no choice but to record his distress on the recorder he had with him. However, he did not think this recording would help him, so he cautiously climbed down from the cliff, crawling on his belly as he descended. God knows what happened, but he succeeded in reaching the valley floor, where he found a clearing free of trees. He cut some birch tree trunks, gathered them, and used them to write an SOS message on the ground. Unfortunately, no plane saw the message until 5 years after his death, when they were searching for the 2 other young men who got lost in the area. This was the scenario the Japanese police put forward to close Kenji's case. However, the media and people interested in the case were not convinced by this explanation. Why? Because the SOS message written with the tree trunks involved 19 trunks. Let me repeat, trunks, not branches or twigs. Each letter was 5 meters long and 3 meters wide. All the trunks were cut to the same length, meaning whoever cut them was skilled and knowledgeable, using a sharp tool such as an axe or hatchet. The letters, as I said, were made from birch tree trunks. The nearest birch tree cluster to where the letters were written was 91 meters away. So, whoever cut these trunks and arranged them in the shape of the letters SOS transported them from 91 meters away. Guys, think about this logically. Something like this requires very strenuous physical effort. The person capable of doing this must be physically very fit. But Kenji, based on his photos, was a physically weak young man. How could he have survived 2 whole days without food or drink, during which his energy should have been depleted, and then taken an axe or hatchet, cut 19 tree trunks, carried them alone for 91 meters, and arranged them into the letters SOS. So, either the person who arranged these tree trunks was not Kenji, but someone else or others, or Kenji had someone helping him cut and arrange the trunks. The evidence supporting this is that Kenji's family, when they heard the recording, said it was not their son's voice, or that his voice had changed and was not his real voice, meaning The voice on the tape might be that of the other person helping Kenji. Another strange thing is, if Kenji cut those trees, where is the tool he used? The search teams combing the area did not find any axe, hatchet, or any tool Kenji might have used. Also, some people found it strange that Kenji was shouting so loudly on the recording. He was recording his voice on a tape recorder, not talking on a transmitter. So why was he yelling so loudly and crying out for help? Why was he shouting like that? Some followers of the case proposed 3 theories. Kenji was shouting loudly on the recorder because he saw something that frightened him, or something was chasing and scaring him, so he recorded while shouting in fear. Kenji was shouting on the recording because there was a helicopter flying above him, but he couldn't see it, and it didn't know where he was to hear him. But the question is, why didn't the sound of the helicopter appear on the recording? The sound of helicopter rotors is distinctive and loud. Why didn't we hear it on the tape? He shouted loudly on the recorder so that whoever hears the recording would feel the fear and confusion he was experiencing. In other words, he shouted to urge anyone who hears it to hurry and rescue him. However, none of these theories have been proven. They remain just assumptions. The biggest surprise was that the body found and analysed turned out to be female, not male. In other words, the unidentified body was not Kenji's. The blood type analysis of that body was different from Kenji's. All the police scenarios were questioned, and the media and public raised many unanswered questions for the police. When the Japanese police found themselves cornered by these questions with no answers, they simply went to the media and said, "Believe us. We conducted another analysis and found that the body was male, and the blood type matches Kenji's," claiming the body was Kenji's and closing the case, relieving the pressure of questions. There is truly a strange, unexplained matter. What is the story of the unknown female body? God knows where Kenji's real body is. God knows who recorded the voice on the tape if it wasn't Kenji. God knows. But the one confirmed fact is that the SOS sign saved 2 other young men who got lost in the area in 1989. The question that still has no answer: who are these unknown people who built the SOS sign with the tree trunks? And what happened to them? What is their fate? To this day, no one has found an answer to this mystery, and that's all I will do. If you like this video, please like and share it from all your accounts and on all social media platforms. God willing, until I prepare new stories for you, see you well and goodbye.